Hello and welcome to another episode of the Field of 68's off-season grades. My name is Rob Dosser. I have Terrence Oglesby here with me, and today we are heading up to Canada to break down the ACC's northernmost member, the Syracuse Orange. And yes, T.O., I did just say.
Why are we going to Canada?
Syracuse is Canada.
It's not
You didn't know
Canada.
that?
That
Syracuse
that
is
is
Canada.
that is an old Big East thing, is what that is right there.
Yes, that is. Syracuse is Canada.
Yeah.
No, but listen, Syracuse has had a couple of rough seasons under Adrian Autry. Last year, specifically 14 and 19, they finished 7 and 13 in the ACC, good for 13th place. But a lot has changed this offseason. And most importantly, the Orange got back two of their best players from last year. J.J. Starling returns for his senior season, and Donnie Freeman is back for a sophomore year after missing the second half of last season with an injury. Eddie Lampkin is gone. Jair Davis is gone. Chris Bell is gone. A couple of other pieces that maybe were the wrong cultural fit are gone. But the Orange went out in the portal and added a couple of big names, specifically Nathan George from Georgia Tech, who I love, and Nate Kings from Oregon State, who 45% from three on more than 4 attempts per game. That's not a bad thing. William Kyle from UCLA by way of South Dakota State, as well as a trio of freshmen Sadiq White, Kyan Anthony, Luke Fennell, and a kid that they just added late in Typhing Diawara. They call him Sheffy, and I'm going to stick with Sheffy because I don't know how to pronounce that.
Well done.
That first name. But Tyler Betsy as well, transferring in from Cincinnati. But what I will say is this: I like what Syracuse has done. I like the way that this roster has come together more than I thought I did before I started like kind of deep diving into it. And I think that this is the year that Adrian Autry gets back to the NCAA tournament with the Orange. I'm going all in. I'm in. I think that they make the NCAA tournament this season. I think that they are a top 5 to 6 to 7 team in the ACC, and I think that they will be dancing on Selection Sunday. That is my hot take of the offseason, T.O.
If they don't, there's an issue because this team is talented.
Mm-hmm.
You only bring back two guys. You get J.J. Starling back, who's been really, really good, averaged almost 18 points a game on pitiful percentages. That's got to change in order for them to be better. Donnie Freeman was good last year, 50, 33. That's pretty good splits. Didn't take a ton of threes, but man, is he talented. He's at 13 and not eight rebounds as a freshman. Really talented. You add Sadiq White, who could be the best athlete in this freshman class. He's that good of an athlete. He's that good. And then Kyan Anthony, who just knows how to score. Now, is he going to be able to score right away? We don't know that answer. We're guessing. But I think it is possible that he could have some big games either off the bench or starting for that team. And I always find it interesting when a legend's son goes and plays for the school because there's a certain amount of expectations that I don't know that are quite fair sometimes. He's not going to one and done and bring Syracuse to a national championship. That's not going to happen. But I do think he could come in and have some really good games. This team is really talented. Really talented. You look up and down their team. Is this really the first time that they have a point guard with size that distributes the ball under Red Autry? I would say yes. A couple of years ago, it was Judah Mintz. He shot it every time he touched it. Before that, it was Joe Girard. He also shot it every time he touched it, which, big fan of Joe. My man's a scorer. So you add a pass first point guard alongside all of these athletes. If Syracuse doesn't get to the tournament, somebody's buns are burning and they're burning bright because the hot seat is going to be real come about March. This Cuse team needs to get to the NCAA tournament. They have the talent, and I feel like if they don't, it's a problem.
Yeah, so I agree with you on everything. The one thing I'll say about Nathan George is that one, there was like a 3-week stretch last year where he looked like the best player in the ACC, and that would include Cooper Flag and everybody else on Duke. They beat Louisville, he had 15 and 10. They beat Clemson, and he had, I think it was 28 and 6 in a double overtime win. He was an absolute monster for a 3-week stretch. Can he extend that over the course of a whole season? Because he is the guy. You mentioned the shooting splits for J.J. Starling, right? I think playing alongside a point guard whose first inclination is to set other players up is going to be the best thing that happens to J.J. Starling's shooting percentages. I think that the difficulty of shot that he is going to get is going to go down this year. And I think that he's going to be a more efficient player, even if that means maybe he's not averaging 18 a game like he did last season. I think that's a good thing for a guy like William Kyle as well. You talk about freak athletes. William Kyle might be the best athlete in the ACC. He's 6'10 with a 40+ inch vertical. You throw lobs up there, he's going to go get it above the square,
Yep.
right? And between his ability to be a vertical spacer and what you're going to get from Nate King's being a perimeter spacer, I think that's going to open up a ton of space for a guy like Donnie Freeman to kind of showcase what he can do. It feels like this year there was actually a plan in terms of the way that they built this roster. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they hired a GM and Alex Klein, right?
Yeah.
Again, it wasn't just we're going to throw some shit against the wall and hope that it works out. Like they got a pass first point guard, they got shooters, they got vertical spacers, they brought in freshmen that can impact in a role off the bench, and there's it feels like this is something that was done with a purpose instead of something that was just kind of done because they needed to fill out a roster. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100% makes sense because whenever they signed Eddie Lampkin, I started scratching my head. I was like, how in the world is he going to keep up? Not that he wasn't a good player. It's just there's a lot of really good five-man typically in this league, and he is awfully slow. That was kind of my biggest. That was my biggest question mark. I do want to throw a quick flower to Luke Fennell, who played really well in Switzerland. Good size, kind of can act as your point guard at times. He's another good player. This team has talent. We can keep saying it and saying it and saying it. I wonder if JJ Starling's capable of shooting 40% from three. Can he do that?
All
If
right,
he
so
can,
let's talk about that because you cover the ACC as close as anybody, right? How does he take the next step from being a scorer and an empty calories guy to being someone that could be a scorer on a leading scorer on a team that wins? You know what I'm
he
saying?
needs to reduce the amount of dribbles. I think that's first and foremost. If he can play with less dribbles, because Nathan George is going to be able to handle all that. Now, I want to say this too. Nathan George, a lot of his success was directly correlated with how good of a job Damon Stoudemire did to put him in position to succeed. Because there are a lot of offenses that Nathan George would end up with the ball going on a wrong way, and the guys were sprinting up and then giving him angles. That's one of the reasons he was so good. It wasn't just the fact that like he was creating Chris Paul like guy up, stagnant pick and roll, and then he was some wizard. There was a lot of run at actions to where he could get to the elbow and make those reads. So are they going to be able to do that there? I think he's capable of seeing these passes, seeing all these things, but he's a big piece to this. But he sees it. Is he going to be put in position to succeed where he's at his strongest? And that's really, you have a sprint up ball screen with a late hedge. That's where he can be really good. You're right, though. Nathan George, I think a lot of it comes down to him and his ability to create for some of these guys. And quite frankly, too, like, I'm just going to say it. Like, you got Kyan Anthony, who loves to score. JJ Starling, obviously, loves to score. Donnie Freeman loves to score. Sadiq White, if he doesn't touch it every now and then, there's some words coming. So, like, and I mean that all in a good way. You have a bunch of really competitive dudes that are used to being the guy. It's a lot of mouths to feed. So that could be a potential unraveling. And it's something that I think needs to be managed at a high level for Syracuse to reach the ceiling that we think they can get to in getting to the NCAA tournament. I'm apprehensive of that happening. I have to see real changes in their offense and what they're trying to do, because they've had such ball dominant guards the past few years that you haven't really seen a ton of actions. I think this year you're going to be able to see more of those things as far as the ball popping around. And if that does happen, the athletes might be able to really put up some strong games. I have to wait and see first.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today. Yeah, there has to be a level of role acceptance, right? Like I think we can get to the X factors a little bit. I had two written down. One of them is just the 5 spot, William Kyle. He was a 13-9 guy, 2 blocks a game at South Dakota State, goes to UCLA. Kind of got stuck behind the Tyler Bilodeau, Eric Daly, Adai Mara trio and only averaged 10 minutes a game, which, it'll happen. I think that he is a high major talent. He has to prove it though. But the other thing is like,
They better defend.
well, I mean, look, the defense, I don't think the defense is the X factor. I think it is the factor. I think part of that though is guys like Kyan Anthony accepting that he is Kyan Anthony and his path is going to be a little different than what Carmelo Anthony's path was when he got to Syracuse, right? It
Yeah.
is going to be a guy like JJ Starling saying, I can't just have the ball in my hands for half of a possession because that's not what's going to lead us to win. And I've been here for 3 years and I've put up a lot of points and we haven't won. So is he worried about the scoring or is he worried about maybe my numbers won't be quite as good, but we're going to win games and I'm going to play in the NCAA tournament as a senior? Like I think that part of it is something that it's not just when it comes to coaching, right? And you know this, Tio. I don't have to explain this to you, but when it comes to coaching, it's not just the X's and O's. It's getting guys to buy in to what those X's and O's are going to provide, right? It's getting those guys to accept my job on this team is to be the floor spacer, to be a 15-minute a game guy off the bench that every once in a while is going to pop off for 20, where these other guys are going to be in front of me in that pecking order. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. And here's the thing: if guys get greedy, they turn it over.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens. Last year, Cuse 18th in offensive steal percentage, meaning people were getting live ball turnovers and they were able to finish them. So you're giving up probably what 11% of your possessions ended up in a live ball turnover. Not going to work. Not only that, they didn't cause any turnovers. I'm worried. Like as far as those things, you needed a point guard, you got it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is the ball going to pop without turning the basketball over? And are they going to guard? Like we went away from the 2-3. It's funny enough. You look at this team, you're like, God, that would be a 2-3 that Boeheim would have fun with Freeman on a wing, Sadiq White on a wing. You have
Jim Kyle at the rim.
you
Yeah.
have a kiss the rim dude at the rim. Then you have big guards. Like, my God, like that's kind of like what you would imagine. But I mean, it's really hard to play zone these days because everybody can shoot it.
Yep.
So that's really your hang up. But the athletes are there. And you look at you look at some of these guys, you're talking about your man William Kyle, like this is a big switchable lineup. If you want it to be. If that's how you want to play. I mean, Nate King 6'5", Donnie Freeman 6'9", William Kyle 6'9", Tyler Betsy, who we haven't even talked about,
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati transfer 6'8", Sadiq White 6'9", who I think could be a shut down dude because of that athleticism is real. You know, Kyan 6'5", Luke Fennell 6'6", like so many of these guys have all those measurables that you would think, man, that's going to work. That's going to work. Are they going to guard? That's what Cuse comes down to. Talent's there offensively. Are they going to guard well enough to get to the NCAA tournament? That's question 1A.
Yep. And I mean, we can get to the expectations part of this conversation here, but I think that this is the year, and it's not just a guy like Red Autry. I think that we're going to have these same conversations about someone like Kim English at Providence. There's a lot of coaches out there who now have the roster that they need to be able to prove that they I don't want to say they deserve the job, but to prove themselves the coach that people thought they were when they were hired, if that makes sense. And like Red's got the talent, right? There's no excuse of not having a GM. This thing was put together. They hired Alex Klein. He did it. The
They
job that he
obviously
was
have
supposed to do.
money.
Yeah,
They
they had
obviously
money.
have money.
So this is the year, man. Like Nate Kings is a perfect example. They beat out Gonzaga for Nate Kings, right? Nate King said instead of going, I'm in Oregon. I'm from Salem, Oregon. I went to Oregon State. Instead of playing at a school like a Gonzaga, I'm going on the other side of the country. I'm going to Canada, and I am going to go play for Syracuse, right? I'm not going to stop making that joke. It's not going to happen, To.
It's working
But
great.
I mean, look, the pieces are there. This is the year that you have a roster that's good enough to dance. Now, my question is, if you went 14-19 last year, you probably got to get to like 21 or 22 wins.
This team's talented enough to go 24.
Yep. Will they be able to pull that off? Like, is there enough of
I
a
don't
difference?
know. I don't know. We got
I,
to see.
Yeah, we'll
I
see.
love that point you made with Kim English and Red. Like you got the dudes now.
Mhm.
There's nothing else. It's on you.
Yep.
I think the great thing is, and I think it's important people realize, like, we love Kimmy, we love Red, like
Mhm.
we love them as humans, but you have to be able to win games. This is what this is for. Now you have the players to win those games. Now it's squarely on your shoulders to put these guys together and do uh, what you feel like you're here to do. So here's your opportunity. They need to take advantage.
Yep. And my guess is that they will. I tend to be on the side of them finding a way to get it done. And maybe I'm just blinded because I watched too much Georgia Tech in early February last season, and maybe my mindset is that Nathan George is the second coming of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
That's
But
wild.
he's a perfect fit. He's a Canada kid going up to Canada to play, so he's coming back home. Great fit for that roster. But
I'm giving them an A.
an A,
I'm
interesting.
giving them an A. Like, as far as your off season's concerned, I'm not even thinking about last year. I'm giving them an A. Like, you look up and down, who they've added. The freshmen are super, super talented. You needed a point guard. You got a point guard to play along JJ Starling. Now he's got to be able to let it go. William Kyle, great athlete. You need him at the 5. You're big. You're switchable. You're talented. Get it done. They get an A for the off season. Let's see what they get during the season.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, you kind of talked me into it a little bit. I went with a B plus, but I feel like I'm low now.
No, it's an A. We're grading the off season.
Mm-hmm.
We're not trying to predict the future of what they're going to do. We're grading the off season here. This is an A
You're
off
right.
season.
You know what? You're right. I'm going.
This is
I'm
an
with
A.
you. I just
I mean,
changed it.
they knocked
You
it out of
talked
the
me
park.
into it,
This is
man.
an A.
You talked me into it.
2 top 40 players. One dude from Australia who nobody knows about, who's ranked way too low at $123. Like, this is an A. This is an A roster put together. Now you got to win.
Yep. Yep. No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I changed it. I'm going with an A2, T.O.
Good.
It is the year for Syracuse basketball to bring the NCAA tournament back to Canada. It needs to happen. This is the year that it gets done. Listen, this has been Field of 68 off season grades. We have about 30 of these already published on the Field of 68 YouTube channel and in our podcast feed. And hopefully we will find a couple more of these to put together as we get into September, as thankfully school starts here in New Jersey. And thankfully my freaking kids get out of the house, which is going to be the
Dude,
greatest
I'm
thing
telling
going
you,
on.
my kids got going a couple of weeks ago. It has changed the world.
Yes.
I can actually get stuff done.
There's nothing better than that. So for Terrence Oglesby, my name is Rob Doster. This has been Field of 68 off season grades.